Hello and welcome to our 59th Help Save Our World Speak online speakers meeting, where we are changing the conversation to change our world. I am Dennis, the teacher of this quest for the truth, change and transformation. These meetings are designed to help save our world by empowering you with the knowledge, skills, and wisdom you need to think and choose wisely for yourself, so you can heal yourself as well as empower others to heal themselves. So together we can sow the seeds of thought all around the world and create a happy, healthy, and sustainable future for all life on planet Earth. This is your and the rest of humanity's movement for fundamental change to help save our world. Your thought journey and quest for the truth and natural wisdom you need to survive extinction. This thought journey is virtually foolproof. Follow it through, and it will naturally result in you and humanity coming together to help save our world. Let's start with introductions. Kurt?
Hey, I'm Kurt, living in Hollywood, Florida these days. And I attend these sessions always because it's a chance for me to remind myself and renew commitment to what I think the world needs. I've also found that over the past 11 months now, since the COVID isolation, that it continues to remind me that the world still needs attention, even if I don't get to go out in it all the time. All the processes and some of the negative influence that are happening are still going on. So we get to keep that in mind and share that information with others so that we are redirected on the right path towards sustainability.
Excellent, Kurt. Alex?
Hi, I'm Alex. I'm here in South Africa, and I am here to help build the foundation for the training and the changes that are required to help save our world.
Excellent. Brendan, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Brendan. I'm from South Africa. I'm 25 years old. I just joined this group. Number one, because it's you, Dennis. I mean, you're amazing when it comes to your teachings. And number two, to help change the world and change the minds of the way people think, to benefit not only themselves, but everybody around them, creating a small community of people who can spread the word and spread the knowledge so that community can create another community, and that community can create another community. And soon we'll all be helping change the world, actually.
That's awesome stuff. Thank you, Brendan. All right, so this chapter is Violet, and we're continuing with the transition. And there's so much involved in this concept. The transition really includes everything that we have been doing, because ultimately that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to transition from a destructive old paradigm to a new paradigm. So as I present this first section, I want you to sort of like think as you're going about the things that appeal to you, and how then sort of come up with ideas about how you're choosing to transition and what you're choosing to focus on your journey right now in your life. So let's begin. The transition. The online dictionary definition of transition is, it's a noun that names the process or period of changing from one state or condition to another. How I see the transition in our particular context is a lot about you, me, and the rest of humanity changing and transitioning from one way of life to another. We're transitioning from an old paradigm to a new one, from fear and hate to love and togetherness. We're transitioning from irresponsible behavior and lifestyle to responsible way of life. We're transitioning from imminent suffering and extinction to surviving and thriving in abundance. Transitioning is about the journey in between. It's the journey of changes as you cross the metaphorical bridge from the past, fear and hate-based world, into the fearless future, where we all live in love, balance, and harmony with one another, nature, and Mother Earth. There are many processes involved in making your life-altering transition to a love-based, happy, healthy, and sustainable future. And it begins with you choosing to awaken to the realities and the horrors of the dominant old paradigm. Then choosing to transition is to stop living that way of life and to start living for a better future. Transitioning could also begin with you being willing to see the everyday problems you face, like ill health, anxiety, stress, and depression caused by your current way of life, and then deciding to do something about it. No matter how small the change you might think it is, make the choice, research it, choose ways to fix it, and do it. And stick with it until it is your way of life without suffering. The transition can only happen if you choose to be open-minded, then being willing and able to head out on your quest to learn the truth and natural wisdom, then choosing wisely and changing into your new way of life. Your transition is a personal journey of rethinking, questioning, reevaluating, and making different choices to change your life, until you have the knowledge, skills, and wisdom to make the best and the wisest choices and changes to your way of life. On your quest for the truth, you begin reprogramming your subconscious and your conscious mind by observing yourself and your conditioned behavior and responses to situations or experiences. Then, when experiencing similar situations again, checking yourself, checking your conditioned responses, and choosing different responses. In this way, you're creating new feelings, emotions, thoughts, choices, and actions into the future. This will have a profound effect on your life. The real transition happens in the doing. By practicing living your new lifestyle, living your choices, living by your new truth and wisdom of your love-based paradigm, practicing doing it until you are it. With physical practices like yoga and karate and the different jiu-jitsu, the things that you were talking about earlier, it takes about 21 days of practicing regularly for your body and mind to make whatever your practice is, like yoga, your way of life or who you are. And people see your personality by the habits you have formed throughout your life. You can change those habits and who you're perceived to be by changing what those habits, who people see you as, oh, this negative person or this yogi or this karate person. And that is because of your practices. So choose well. So the transition is all about the journey in between, from this side of the bridge to that side of the bridge. To me, the transition is about choosing to help save our world. changing your vision of what future. What is your purpose? What is your mission, your values and beliefs, your ethics and morals, your code of conduct, and your subconscious programming? It's about taking responsibility for your life, your every thought, choice, and action. The transition to me is about your commitment to living a new, sustainable way of life, making the difficult choices and changes, making your own choices about things you choose to do with others, nature, and Mother Nature in mind. Because we all have an environmental and a collective responsibility to one another, because we live all in this one fishbowl. So how we treat our world and one another within our fishbowl is critically important. So the transition is about changing your thoughts, your habits, your behaviors, changing your whole way of life, and sowing and growing the future you deserve to live in. It's about taking back your time, your energy, your thoughts, your creativity, regaining your independence, your freedom, of course, with responsibility. Living, learning, thinking, changing, sowing and nurturing a better world around you. Caring and doing for others for the benefit of all. Creating a better future for all. Gaining independence from the man, money, wealth, power, and their pyramid schemes. Growing your own food, decentralization onto the land. Creating water and food security, and sowing and growing permanence of culture. Creating happy, healthy, and abundant ecosystems and relationships with all of life. And growing the relationships within your culture. And that culture is based on your vision and your purpose to create a happy, healthy, and sustainable future. Growing relationships with others and the natural world. Your commitment to speaking, spreading, and living the truth and natural wisdom of nature, and putting it all into practice. Of course, you get the picture. I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to ask you to answer my first question, and that's, how are you choosing to transition? What are you choosing to focus on your journey of change now in your life? And that's open to, okay, good.
This year I'm focusing on my health. Last year, my main focus was to quit smoking, which I have successfully done for a year and a month. So that has been a long and hard journey that I didn't expect to be as difficult as it was, but it has been a journey. And initially my journey was to obviously stop smoking and to lose weight, but the latter didn't happen so well as trying to stop smoking makes you actually want to eat more and put on a bit more weight. So now that I'm fully over needing to have a cigarette, I am focusing this year on my weight. I've also need to focus on reconnecting with what I want, what I need. And with that, I have started karate to refocus my energy, improve my discipline, and connect with others, and obviously get some exercise in the process.
That's excellent. I love the fact that you took on, sorry, I've got unstable internet. Kurt, would you like to continue?
Sure, I can speak into that. So Alex, I think what you just were talking about is a great example of how all of us human beings get to contribute to the world that we want to live in. And that's cleaning up the stuff in ourselves that's either negative or harmful. So certainly stopping the smoking and being able to overcome that habit can lead in our own lives, whatever the smoking is to each of us, can be a great way then to contribute to our commitment to helping save the world as well. I also quit smoking many years ago, and I considered it one of my greatest accomplishments in my life. And I was only 29 at the time. And it still remains one of my greatest accomplishments as a personal accomplishment. And this kind of brings me into what I would say is my contribution, or where I'm looking to head in this. And I have a philosophy that one of the reasons the world is in such chaotic state of maybe of decline and the negative impact of humans is that we have continually used technology and invention. I don't mean just computers and things, but just whatever technology. It could have been the wheel or the hammer. We continue to use them to create comfort for ourselves, which is great. Survival isn't as strong as it used to be. And the 20th century, I think, brought us into an absolute comfort of, well, I can just give up my responsibility for food to the big agricultural company, and my responsibility to travel, not to my animals, but to the automobile companies and the oil companies. And we've just insidiously and quietly have been moved away from our personal responsibility for our life and our survival into relying on others. And that's not just with things, it's also with our thinking. And certainly with the advent of radio and television, but even with the printing press centuries ago, we started to take on other people's thoughts, and not all of them were very positive. So as we look at being responsible for the earth, let's look at what our responsibility is for us, and what our thinking is, and what our behaviors are. And as Dennis was mentioning, then we get to choose, what will I then apply this to? If I'm going to be responsible, I'm responsible for everything. Not that I necessarily can do something about it, but the things that I can do something about, I will. And they will be in alignment with what my belief system is, which is we're all connected. We all are responsible for everything. And we all have access to the same knowledge and abilities as everybody else. It may take us a little longer and with different adaptations to apply it. But when we can get a consistent attitude that this is the world I live in, and if I'm going to enjoy the world, it's my responsibility to maintain it and protect it, and to be good keepers of it, be good stewards of it. And again, not just the world outside, but the world inside in our physical body. So that continues to be my quest till I no longer can think, I guess. That's what I will continue to do, is look to maintain and clean and enhance the body, the material body, and the mental body that I'm in, and the physical world. So that's my continuing plan and commitment.
Excellent, Kurt. I think both of you have just brought up, like, there is no caring for the world unless you're caring for yourself. It's like that whole principle of, if you don't use the oxygen mask on an airplane, you won't be able to help others because you'd be dead in a couple of minutes, you know. So you really have to care for yourself as like a foundation of being able to care for others. So it's like a founding principle. So you really have to go through that transition journey of cleaning up your whole life and sort of realigning with that childlike self within you to being the happiest and the healthiest and the most playful and just like this most amazing being. And when you have dealt with all of that, you have so much more energy and power to make a difference in the world. So yeah, I love what both of you have said there. Hello, Lorna. Hi, Lorna. We are talking about right now, how are you choosing to transition? What are you choosing to focus on your journey of change now in your life? Lorna, can you put your microphone on?
There you go.
Hi to everybody, even for a little
Hey.
bit here. The title was so, engaging for me, going back to the Eden, and I said, yes, there is, that's how I feel. And even though it's a bittersweet, situation, generally speaking, but in my world, I have chosen, whatever that is,
Present.
to make it just what the title represents, for this meeting. I think I'm grateful to be alive and be have the chance, to witness what's going on, the good part of it, and validate, the kind of life that I envisioned for a long, long time, around me. And this is a unique time. So what is my commitment? My commitment has been lately to mirror through the eyes and the energy and the vibration of my grandson what I'm describing.
Okay.
If you know what I mean. It has been like just amazing energy lately. What I ask myself, if I cut myself doing something that is not quite, what I really think is good for me, and therefore for everybody that's implicated, is I ask myself, is this really my energy? Is this really my energy? And then it kind of snapped me out of it. And of course, next time I go on, I'm with a baby, and he's in charge. He reminds me constantly, fearless, saying things as it is, with no worry, about what I'm going to say or anybody. So that has been my commitment to. It is my commitment to take advantage of this time being, and be grateful of the universe that has sent me, this kind of resource package, in a baby form.
That's
Yeah.
wonderful, Lorna. The thing is
That's beautiful.
yeah, as we're living our lives, especially in relationship to others, we think we have it all together, and then something will happen, and with sort of our relationships with one another, with my grandson, whatever. And I learned so many lessons, and it's like, as I'm learning these lessons, I'm sort of like including them in the meetings. It's like it gives me this like broader perspective. I'm growing through the lessons I'm learning from the people I'm supposedly trying to teach, So it's a wonderful thing. I hear that that's what you're saying about your grandson and the experiences with him. So that's just wonderful. It's magical, actually.
I just have to add something. At the beginning, it was like I was chicken out, I have to say. It was hard work. It was a hard work taking care of a baby, which is, I haven't done this 40 plus years ago, right?
Yeah.
So it was challenge, and my body started breaking, physically, because
Yeah.
I was not using, my body the way, and the schedules and everything. And then the lesson for me was through him again, and that I have to say, hey, honey, to my daughter, if I want to be around more, I have to really, I'm calibrating now, I'm calibrating so I can get to a point where I can be present and be useful and loving. So I took it down. First was 13 days in a row, and it was not a good thing. And then I went back to, I guess, was like I went away like maybe 10 days because I couldn't handle it,
Yeah.
physically. And then where I'm standing is 3 to 4 times a week, but I choose my hours. So, and now I'm able to deliver and to enjoy it, which is the key word, to enjoy it, no matter how tired I get, no matter. So I think that was part of the willingness, not to be a
Learning.
super grandma, which I couldn't do it the way I thought so, but do it realistically according to what I can do. So I can't tell you both parts,
Okay. Well, I mean, there are two principles that come through there is first of all, as you change your way of life, you have to literally become fit enough to and emotionally strong enough to deal with the change that you've incorporated. So that's a wonderful thing. Brendan?
Okay, so you said we must talk about the
Do you want me to repeat
topic of.
let me
Yes,
repeat
please.
the question. How are you choosing to transition? What are you choosing to focus on your journey of change now in your life?
Okay, so basically, I have started this garden business, as we all know. I've been working really hard to change people's gardens, and I've been trying to push people to do the permaculture side, so that they can have self-sustaining. Not everybody, and they can basically just self-sustain themselves more than anything else. Not everybody goes for it, but there are some people that do. And it's quite interesting to see how you can transform a garden. And it's exciting to have new opportunities. Like I had a customer that now wants me to, I cut 3 acres of grass for him, which is quite a big land. And I was doing the roof cleaning on yesterday. And he has asked me to cut his neighbor's grass for them, and he'll pay me. But also he wants me to turn it into, at a later stage, into a garden where he can grow his vegetables and everything, but leave a patch for the horses still, of course. And to me, that's very exciting. And he says I can choose what I want to put there. It doesn't matter as long as it's edible, and he can use it in salads and stuff. So to me, that's amazing and exciting, and that's what I'm doing to help change in the new year.
Wow, I absolutely love that, Brendan. Like that was your initial dream was to start this garden services so that you could turn it into a permaculture business. So the story about the woman in Oregon was that they couldn't afford land, and everyone has land around them. So what they did is they went out and they offered to create these permaculture gardens for everyone around. Well, actually to use their land and provide them weekly sort of food, fresh, healthy food, and of course get them to pay for it. And then of course they went around to just about everyone in the community, and a lot of people agreed. And so they were able to use everyone else's owned land and create their own business without having to buy land. So I think it's a wonderful journey that you've undertaken, and I think you're doing exceptionally well, and just keep it up.
Thank you. But these clients especially are, when I went there, they said something to me that actually really touched my heart. And that's why I don't mind doing the extra things here and there for them. As they said, as I entered the gate, they said, this is now your yard and you can do whatever you like as long as it looks amazing afterwards.
That's awesome stuff. There's a lot of good people out there, so You know, when we're sitting at home, locked away in our COVID thing, we have all this imagination of all these people who own the land and they're horrible people and everything. When in actual fact, we're totally misreading the situation. So, anyone else? Kurt, you want to say anything else about changes, or Alex? Anybody?
I just want to say hi, Lorna. Lovely to have you back here again. I fully understand, you know, looking after even your daughter's child. You know, with I know you've had a number of medical issues through the years to start with, and taking on that responsibility. I fully understand that you've had some difficulty. What was your word? Calibrating there. I love that word. I am calibrating too. I think we're all calibrating to the new choices and the new adaptations in our lives at the moment. I love that word. I think I'm going to use that word a whole lot more later in the next few weeks. And yeah, you need to set your boundaries as well for your personal health and your personal needs. And that doesn't mean you love your grandchild any less. It just means you love him enough to look after yourself so you can actually continue to love him further into the future. So good on you.
All right. So, for most people who live under the despotic power of the corrupt government oligarchy that is bought and paid for by the rich owner plutocracy, the power-mongering religious pyramid schemes, they tend to live in a fear of scarcity, blindly believing religions, government, media, business, and banking. These citizens are kept spellbound in fear of the enforcers of power, which is everything from police all the way through. So they also live in fear of the others, the illegal aliens, the terrorists. The list of derogatory names is endless. These citizens are indoctrinated into segregation, xenophobia, racism, patriotism, capitalism, consumption, warmongering, government control and corporate control, business control, money, ownership, pyramid schemes, and the list goes on and on. These are the systems used to keep power in the hands of a few. The control of the masses, herding, indoctrinating, and domesticating. The people control systems are extreme in the Western world, and the majority of everyday people are oblivious to them or choose not to face up to and deal with them, nor to choose for themselves. They would rather believe the propaganda lies like they are free and they are free to choose the American and live the American dream. Their choice has been made for them. So it is not a choice at all. To me, the transition is towards independent thinking and making wise choices in the moment. Your transition is about living and dealing with life while constantly choosing in the moment. When something is not right and you sense it, that's the moment you need to react and say no. The transition is constantly happening. Your every thought, choice, and action is making your future or transitioning you from where you are into the future. The transition is about you moving away from supporting what the systems of indoctrination impose, teach, and enforce upon you, and force you into believing, or what your peers insist that you should blindly believe. Your transition is from what you just usually blindly accept, support, turn and look the other way, ignore and justify, away from just letting injustices continue all around you even when most loving, kind, caring, honest people with any form of empathy and consideration for others and nature would not accept it. Your transition is about living by the truth, fairness, equality, and standing up for what is right and morally acceptable. Standing up for the poor and the voiceless ones. Standing up and being counted for nature. Speaking out and being heard. Living your truth in every moment in love, balance, and harmony with all else. The transition is a learned and practiced and lived way of life. The next question you will encounter and is necessary for you to answer is, how committed are you to doing the right thing? Like standing up for the poor, the downtrodden, sickly, weak, homeless, the voiceless ones, the air, the earth, the waters, the topsoil, the microorganisms, insects, the birds, bees, and all of the voiceless forms of life, as well as Mother Nature herself. How committed are you to doing the right thing? Anybody?
I'll go.
Alex?
Yeah, I wish I could be committed more. I wish I had the funds and the resources to assist the people that I see on the streets, to give them an opportunity to grow and not to suffer or be the people that have not. I don't contribute enough. Yeah, I can't. I don't think I can give more to that. I do what I can when I can, and with the resources I have to give. Whether it's a recently we had a guy named Brissy come through, and he needed help, and I was happy to assist feeding him every day. I was happy to make him a part of our family, because I knew how much he needed, and I was happy to teach him. And I sat for a number of hours teaching him different concepts of proper consideration of others, respect of people, at an emotional level, teaching him a lot of different varied items. So, I mean, I do what I can when I can, and with the resources I have. I just wish I could do a whole lot more.
That is like, I don't think at any stage expecting more than we have enough of to give is what we're asking here. It's like, what can you give of yourself to make a difference in the world? And I think what you and Brendan did, and with Vusi, who's actually somebody who comes from an indigenous culture and is now trying to survive in a city and is really, really battling. And he's made mistakes because he doesn't understand the way things are within our culture, and the mistakes cost him. And then, of course, you're unable to keep on giving to somebody who is destroying you. So there is a point at which you've got to be able to say, okay, I'm sorry, I can't help you anymore. But of course, that doesn't mean that you don't try again. Keep an open heart and keep on trying whenever you can. And I think you do way more than you can imagine. I mean, just by supporting me while I'm doing this and providing me with a roof over my head, that's an enormous amount of contribution to making a difference. I think that's, you can't put it all on yourself. And I think as we grow as an organization, we will start to gain more and more support, and then we'll be able to make the change that we want to see in the world. So, Kurt?
Yeah, actually, those were the ideas I was looking to put out as well. Is, do the best you can, or let me rephrase it. Am I doing the best I can with the resource that I have now? And it doesn't mean that the resources will always be what they are at this moment. And it doesn't know that my bandwidth won't increase or change over time. But the best we can ever do is just do the best we can with the resources we have now and in alignment with what our choices and visions are. We get to remember that, because sometimes and oftentimes we either get distracted or the things of life that have to get done, and then we get caught up in that whole routine and realize that I have other commitments in my life. So when we can merge them, when our commitments are all aligned, not necessarily just with one thought, but within, I get what this part of me needs and I get what that part of me needs, and I'm looking to make them all work in a balanced way, such that it all works out. So I'm aligned with that. Do the best you can with what you have, based on your commitment. And that's what I seek to do.
Excellent, Kurt. There's no point in harming yourself, because harming yourself, you're not going to be there to provide or help others. So, and really, you have to have your long-term survival and everything. Take that into account as well. So, giving if you won't be able to survive into the future is like the stupid thing that I would do, But yeah, Lorna?
And have done.
On that, Dennis, Lorna, if I can just work on that thought. Oftentimes, when we think that I'm at my limit, it's because the way of thinking about limits and resources or possibilities has been stifled by us or a part of us. And so your image of you don't give away something that you don't have. And I've heard and even experienced many times where it would take from me in order to give, but the act of giving at that moment in time opened up lots of new possibilities for me, because I got over my scarcity conversation, said, I'll find something else. This person can't right now, but I can. So I don't mind giving what I would use and what I think is mine, because it's going to come back to me in many other different ways. If it's not necessarily that particular resource, it's just the feeling that I have, and then I can interact with somebody on a different level, and that might open up a conversation where more abundance occurs again. So that concept that I was talking about before, our vision, is that we get to live out of abundance, and that abundance includes possibilities of who I could be and what I could manifest or cause to happen. So yes, take care of myself. However, we all know those stories of people that gave their last dime and then walked down the street and, the banks opened up for them. So,
that's something that we don't appreciate, is we have this incredible sort of knowledge base and skill base and potential, which a lot of people don't have. And so our ability to get up and stand up and start again is it's enormous, So if we live in fear of what we can't have and can't do and whatever, we'll never sort of step into our potential and become what, as you're saying, it's like, so, I mean, what we're doing now is we're contributing with sort of no sort of expectation of anything changing. But if we keep on doing this over an extended period of time, it will become this amazing thing. And all we have to do is be like dedicated, committed to making it happen. And like, I guarantee you, we look back, like in 1 year, we will do a certain amount of stuff, and it won't be that much. But in 2 years and 5 years and 10 years and 20 years and 40 years from now, we'll look back and we'll say to ourselves, oh my gosh, look at the influence on the world we're having now. It'll just be mind blowing. So, yeah, I mean, it's an exponential growth. Right now, we're sort of like trickling along the bottom of the curve, and then it's going to go, and then we'll be able to do so much more for everyone else, So let's not lose sight of our potential. Thank you, Kurt. That was awesome stuff. Lorna?
Yes, I'm so excited. This is so good. about my contribution, I found myself in the past, in near past, that I want to do so much, right? And all these rockets of desire, and then I used to feel, okay, I'm not accomplishing, what my goal is. But somehow through meditation and, all these, readings and being aware and having allies like you guys, it came to me that do it all the way around. And what I mean by that is, okay, I'm not that available now, right? Available. And I certainly have not been able to do the giving, the way I would like to. So I decided, which became my mantra. I'm looking at it because I have it in front of me, which is willing, right? That's my personal mantra. So I know the universe, God, vortex, whatever, to me is the same thing, know that I am willing, but physically or time-wise, it's somehow I cannot put all together. So I'm just gonna be willing. And what happened, and is still happening and more, is that just by maintaining that attitude and like Kurt says, taking care of myself, when somebody needs something that I could offer, right, in whatever shape or form, it called me, or somehow the people that may need is needing my help, they starting to reach me, call me. And then it just happened that when that happened, I'm available. And that was like really, and I'm satisfied. So it looks like I didn't have to worry too much about accomplishing, the way I wanted, and the quantity, no more to-do lists. And it's just the energy is just bringing it to me, if you know what I mean.
Yes, bringing it to you. Yeah. What I've done is, like, I have all these big dreams and these big ideas, these big pictures of everything I want to do. And just recently, I had this sort of epiphany that I just need to stop and reevaluate and then choose one thing. Like, I've got to write the book Beyond the Age of Ignorance. And I've been gathering all the files and putting it all together and just doing it step by step. And each day I'm building or recreating this book Beyond the Age of Ignorance. Because I originally wrote it, and Alex says, it really needs to be rewritten, taking into account the ideas that we've put into this group. So I'm now doing that as like project number 1. And then project number 2 will be like creating a brief pocketbook called the People's Handbook of basically all of the statements and the ideas and whatever that we've established in this process. And each time I go through a task, I complete it, I mark it, and then I go through the next task and I complete it and I mark it. And before we know it, we will end up in a situation where we have all of these books and all of these videos and all of everything, and it's all going out there. And before you know it, there are many people coming in and like, oh my gosh, I like that, I love that. And bam, before you know it, it's growing. But it's like taking one step at a time. Like, I'm writing these speeches, I'm writing one word and then I'm like the next word. It's like being willing to like forget about the big picture and just get involved and do it. So, Brendan? Or Alex.
Yeah, Brendan is not able to comment at this time, but I just wanted to pick up on the two things. One thing that Kurt said, and then another thing the main thing Lorna said. I just wanted to like put it in simple words there. So when opportunity arises, be willing to assist, and what goes around comes around. So I think that's absolutely brilliant. I've written that down. I think that's awesome. Thank you, both of you.
I love those. But there is also another thing, is the ability to say no is a really, really, really important skill. You take on as much as you can deal with, just like you were saying earlier, Lorna, you were saying like you tried to do too many days a week or whatever, and it became too much, and then you cut it down. So you really have to work within your balance of your abilities and your strength and your health and your psychological health and so on. So you have to constantly balance to maintain your health and happiness as well. So don't be willing to do everything, because you do that, you harm yourself. So when choosing and changing, the question you'll be faced with next will be, how much are you willing to give up to be the change you want to see in the world? Because change requires giving up one thing to get another. Letting go of old friends. Maybe you like to go to the bar and you like drinking a lot, and talking about things to your old friends, and then you stop drinking. So letting go of old friends who believe in the old paradigm, like the whole dominant paradigm, then trusting that you will make new friends with similar ideas and values and beliefs, as you have now achieved on your journey, on the other side of your journey. So how much are you willing to give up to be the change you want to see in the world? Anyone?
I heard a number of years ago that phrase attributed in transformational training. It went, are you willing to give up who you've become for who you really are, or who you can be? And I think that's critical. Yeah, it's that we've gotten so comfortable in so many aspects of our life that we think that that's success. And many of us have just settled on a level, whatever it might be, where I get by, I have a decent life, things are good, and we kind of either avoid or deny, or don't even look at so many other areas in our life where growth and change are possible. So I think for many of us, it really comes down to the beliefs that we have, that we allow to run us. So, and the beliefs of the conversations that we have said, yes, you can stay here and run me. And until we start to question those and say, is this really giving me what I want to create with the years that I have in this form? And if we say no, and I'd like to do something different, then we can change those beliefs, and then we obviously can then change what we do and the effects that cause.
Yeah, I think it really is about how much do you feel like you have to hang on to the past? How much are you willing to risk? Because change requires a certain amount of risk. It's like, and a faith in that things are going to work out anyway. So and change is inevitable. So you have to be willing to risk, because otherwise you can't really live as a human on this planet. But when you're like risking all of your relationships and your friends who live in a certain way of life, and you're literally putting yourself out there to become this totally different person in the hope that there will be another future for you, and friends and relationships and eco-villages and growing living systems that are your relationships. It's like you've got to believe, you've got to have faith in the idea that you can create this future. So risk is like, it comes down to how much you're willing to risk in the hope and the knowledge that this is going to work out, Alex?
If I look back on my life, I've actually restarted my life quite a few times in my lifetime, where I've had to give up absolutely everything. Maybe take a suitcase or a handbag worth of stuff with me, and make that change possible. And I've found that life or the universe always provides you with just enough to continue, to not to be able to move on. That and all the signs are there and everything falls into place as it should when the right time is. If you force change, you're going to stumble. If you don't allow change to progress or to become, you will also fall hard. So you need to be willing to move on when those times come. You know, whether it's pick up your handbag and walk out and be like, okay, I'm done with that part of my life, move on to the next part of my life. The universe will provide for you every step of the way. So yeah, I've done it a few times. I think the only thing that I wouldn't give up too easily is the family that I currently live with at the moment, which is my father, my son, and Brendan. Wouldn't be an easy give up, but physical objects and things, I'm happy to say goodbye to them if necessary.
Wonderful. So this ultimately comes to the final question that I have here. And that's the consideration of the question is, if you don't change, are you happy with the consequences you and all life will suffer for your indecision? Because you do realize no choice is a choice. Anyone want to speak to that?
I know
Well,
when I don't change, what the hardship that life throws at you, to make sure that you make those changes in some way or another. So no, I'm not prepared to change. I'm not prepared not to change.
That's awesome. Good.
That's the best line. I'll just leave that there. Yep. I'm not prepared not to change. Wonderful.
Yeah, it's excellent. Lorna?
What I'm able to give up, I guess I'm more ready to answer this question. I said, what I'm ready to bring in, because that's easier for me to absorb and work with it. I think at this time of my life, I have gave up a lot of stuff and people and, whatever it took to keep myself the way I believe, is a good nature, which that's the way I perceive myself. So I'm in the bring in mode, whatever that makes sense. That makes sense for me.
I think that concept is really, it's like a friend of mine used to teach in her sort of life improvement journey. It's like, if you take something out of your drawer, something else is going to go into its place. So, choose what you want to put in, to replace what you've taken out. But it is this process of getting rid of to bring in. And of course, hopefully the bringing in is creating a better life for you, better emotions, creating a better world for you. So I think that's the ultimate choice. And so anyone want to say the final things, because we've come to the end of our time? Sorry, Karen. Karen.
It's something I'm willing to give up.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Is all habits.
There you go.
Yeah, all habits that don't serve me anymore. And of course, there's still, of course, some there that handicap, what the plenitud, how you say plenitud, the way I want to enjoy life fully. So I'm working on that too.
Cool. All right, everyone. Anyone final words? We're at the end of our time. Awesome. I think you all did amazingly well. This is like an incredible recording. I love what you all had to say. I really appreciate it. Namaste. All right.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Anybody who wants to stay can stay, but the ending of the recording is now. So bye, everyone.
Cheers.